side. Okay, now let's start with this type of equation. Okay, it's saying here simplify each expression, assume all variables are positive. Okay, now let's simplify, start with this one. Okay, now this type of questions, let's say it's a little bit confusing. It's not the similar to this question here, which is easier. Okay, but here, if you look now to the question, all the question here is rational. Okay, so rationals mean we need to convert this one to radical. But before you convert anything to radical, try to simplify the questions as many as you can. Okay? Because maybe you will not be, let's say, you're not required to convert to the radical. So first, try to work with the rational. Okay? Then you can convert to the radical if needed. Okay? Now, let's start with this. Okay, perfect. So look to this question here. We have x to the power of 9 and we have 8 here. Okay, you have two ways to solve it, but I will use the way which is easier to understand so you can understand it. Okay, first of all, 8, okay, 8 can be written as 2 times 2 times 2, right? 2 times 2, 4 times 2 equal 8. So all of that is 2. So how can I rewrite this one? I can rewrite it as 2 to the power of 3. Why I did this step? Okay, I told you I will solve it to make it easy. You will understand why I made this step like this when I finish the question. Now just focus here. So I will convert number 8 and I will rewrite it to become 2 to the power of 3. Now let me rewrite this one. 2 to the power of 3, x to the power of 9. So all of that to the power of negative 2 over 3. Now, do you remember the rule when we have a power to the power, we distribute? Okay, so as you can see, do you remember the rule that when we have a power, okay, we distribute the power for this and for the 2. But because we have a 3 and 9 here, so let's multiply them. Okay, now it will be 2 to the power of a 3 to the power 2 over 3 times x to the power of 9 to the power negative 2 over 3. Okay, so I distribute the power for each of them. Okay, so that's the first step. Then let's now multiply the power together because we know that this one is multiplied with this one here. So 2, 3 times negative 2 over 3. So this is for the first one. Now, let's do the second one, which is this one here, multiply with a 9 here. So now it will be written as x 9 times negative 2 over 3. Okay? So now, how can I uh, multiply this two together? So as you can see, to multiply these two together, we can rewrite. Now let's rewrite this one. So 3 multiply with negative 2 over 3. So it will be 2 to the power of what? 3 times 2 is 6. 6 divided by 3, it's equal negative 2. Right? Okay. So this one, 3 times 2 equal 6. Divide by 3 with negative. So it's negative 2. Okay. Now, the other one, which is the x, okay, so it will be x, okay, 9 times negative 2, which is equal negative 18, okay, divide by 3, negative 18 divide by 3, okay. If you need to do this one, it will be something harder or some decimals or what? Oh, it will be negative 6. Okay, so negative now, negative 2 to the power of negative 2, x to the power negative 6. Now, can we write them as a radical? Yes. Okay, but don't forget the rule that when we have a negative power, we write it as 1 over x to the power of n. So now let's rewrite this one. So it will become 2 to the power of 2 and 1 to the power x to the power of 6. Now, can we simplify 2 to the power 2 here? Yes, we can simplify it. So now it will be 1 over 4 to the power of x, sorry, times x to the power of 6. Okay, so this one is the first equation that we can solve. And see how it's a little bit confusing, but it's easy if you follow the rule. Okay, now let's start with the question here, question number 1. Okay. So now the question number one, as you can see here, always don't forget when we have a number times, let's say, x, so we put the x here. Okay. So my question will be x over 2. Okay. Another example. Let me write another one. So let's say we have 1 over 6 times x. Okay, so we put the x, replace it with 1, so it will be x over 6. Always it's like this. Now, let's follow this rule and let's rewrite it here again. So, so first, as you can see here, we have x multiplied with a fraction, so x it will be here. So now x to the power of a 12 over 4x to the power of 4. Okay, so all of that to the power of negative 1 over 2. Now, do you remember the rule? This rule here, let me write it. So when we have x to the power of y, when we have a negative n, we can rewrite this one what? We can flip x and y, and we can put it as positive. Okay, so as you can see here, we can flip x and y, and we change the power to positive. So now let's flip x and y. Okay, so let's flip it. So it will be f4 to the power of x to the power of 4, x to the power of 12. So all of that to the power of half. Now look to the x's. Now just ignore just ignore number 4 for a while. Just ignore it. Now, look to the question. X to the power of 4 over x to the power of 12. So when we have x to the power, and we have same base with different power, what's happening with the power? We minus the power. Now, let's rewrite the question. Okay, so 4, okay, x, okay, 4, write it again here. Sorry. So now 4 x to the power of 4 minus x to the power of 12, which is like this. So all of that to the power of half. So now it will be written as 4x to the power negative 12 minus 4, which is negative 8. So all of that to the power of half. Okay. Now let's simplify more. So as you can see here, 4x to the power of 8. Now x to the power negative 8, we can write it as 4 to the power of x over 8, like this. So all of that to the power of 5. Now, what do you think we can do here? Can we distribute the power? Yes, we can distribute the power. Okay, so you can now distribute the power half to the 4 and to the x to the power of 8. Okay, what's happened? Now let's distribute the in half for the 4 and for the 8. So it will be 4 to the power of half and x to the power of 8. Sorry, not 8. So now if we multiply, okay, half to the times, so it will be half times 8, which is equal 4. Okay, so now half times 8, which is equal 4. So now the answer here, it will be 4 to the power of half is equal to over x to the power of 4. So now this is the simplest form that we can reach to. Okay, now let's go to question 2. Okay, question 2 now, similar to the question 1, okay, which is we have this x multiplied with a fraction. This one will goes here. So my question, it will be x to the power of 4 and 9 x to the power of 12. So all of that to the power of 1 over 2. Okay. Now, can we simplify the 9? Okay, can we simplify the 9 and we write it as a 3 times a 3, which is, can we rewrite this one to the power 3 to the power of 2? Yeah, we can do this. Now let's rewrite the question. So it will become x to the power of 4 and 3 to the power of 2. Okay, x to the power of 12. Okay. Now we do the same step we did to the power of 5. So we do the same step we did here. Do you remember what we did here? We forget about the 4 and we have the same base, we minus the power. So we do the same thing here. Okay. So now let's ignore, okay, let's ignore this one for a while. Okay. And we minus x to the power of 4 minus x to the power of 12. Okay. So now which was equal uh, 3x to the power of, sorry, because the number is down. Okay. So now, as you can see here, x to the power of 4 minus x to the power of 12 is equal to x to the power of negative 8. Okay. So now let me rewrite it. So it will be 1 over 3 to the power of x of negative 8. Now, if you look to the question, okay, so it will be negative, oh, sorry, it's not negative 8, it's 8. Why it's negative 8? Because it's down. I wrote it down and I wrote negative. It's okay. Okay? So x to the power of 8. Now, what we need to do, don't forget to the power of 2 here, because the power of. Okay, now let's distribute the half for the numerator and the denominator. So it will be 1 to the power of 1 over 2, and it will be here 3 2, all of that to the power 1 over 2, and x to the power of a to the power of 1 over 2. Now we can multiply the power together. Okay, so we multiply 1 over 2 with the 2 here, which is equal 1. So now 1 to the power of half is equal 1. 3 to the power 2 over 2, so it's equal to 3. Okay, and half, so 8 times half, it's equal x to the power of what? 4. So now my answer is x to the power of 4. So this one is my final answer. Okay, I hope this one is easy to understand, but I told you there is no way to solve it. You have to practice, practice, practice to understand and see how you can do this. Okay, so here are some questions, other questions you can simplify by taking by taking the number in a side and you take the variables in another side. Okay, so you can then multiply the number to become 6, and you can add the power 2 plus 5, which is equal to 7. So here's some two examples. Okay, and here more examples. You can refer to them, which is easy to understand. Then you have here some example. I hope this is it's understandable. I know a little bit confusing, but you have to practice as I told you. Okay, good luck. Have a nice day. See you. Bye bye.